those navy blue uniforms that they wear in the last ship. And, you know, it's the new digit uniform. And dark blue. And I first saw that, first thing I thought of was the ocean. If you took a sailor that was dressed out in that uniform, you threw him in the ocean, you'd never find him. He'd blend in with the water and be gone. Set of those uniforms, but I didn't get any pants with it. All I got was the blouse and a cover. I really need to go up to the NOS and just give them back to them, but I kind of like them. I'd rather give them the Seabee ones back, keep the Navy ones. But I didn't get pants with them, so they go in storage. I should have told them just before I got out, but I never did look at the box. I never did open it. I'm a Seabee. Seabees don't wear blue. They wear the green ones. It's like the Marines wear. Because we're affiliated with the Marines. The Marines go out, they secure the area, they claim their ground, as it were, and then the Seabees come in afterwards, the Navy Seabees. They come in afterwards and start building the galleys and the showers and the barracks, so the Marines don't have to live in tents and live off basically live like people out camping, you know, because that's what you're doing. No means of shower, no means of bathroom or anything, really. The Seabees got to come in and build that stuff. They got to bring it in. I've done 2 fexes, a super fex and a regular fex, and they're both the same thing. So they do a super fex just before they go overseas. And that's when the Seabees go overseas. Our unit went overseas like twice. I didn't go either time. I was supposed to go, but the Navy knew about my back issue, and they were like, well, if we send you and you get your back hurting in the middle of the field, then we're going to lose 3 people that aren't going to be able to defend the area. And I'm like, how are you losing 3 people when I'm the one that's out? It's going to take 2 people to carry you off the field. I'm like, oh, that's logical. Okay. So they just said, we're not going to send you. You get to stay home. Okay. Fine by me. It was on June 17th. Probably, 2007. Yeah, maybe, yeah, 2007, I think. They were getting ready to send my unit over to Iraq when Bush was in office and everybody was over in Iraq. Well, anyway, I had my sea bag packed. I got my notice saying, to be on the plane at such and such time. And I was supposed to come in to the NOS, fill out, final paperwork. And so anyway, I go into the NOS and we're in a conference room, and that's where they did. I had my mind set, not set, but mentally prepared to go. I didn't want to go, of course. Who wants to do that? It's a totally different environment, totally different situation. I wasn't looking forward to going, but I was prepared to do it. They turned around and said, we're not sending you. You go home and stay home. So I went home, and it took me about 2 days after I got home to realize what they said. I was still thinking mentally that I was still going. Before I realized what they meant when they said that I wasn't going. Then I started jumping up and down with joy. Like, woohoo! And then when they came back, they told me the nightmares and the horror stories and everything else that went with it. that when you were out there working, the temperature was 120, well, it was above 120 degrees in daylight. And they had to wear their full uniform, so they know, they were covered up like little Bo Peep in full uniform. The sleeves were down. They didn't roll their sleeves up. They had their sleeves rolled down, had their blouse on over their t-shirt, that hot sticky thing. You know, of course they had to have all their gear on, which is the vest with all the bulletproof plates in it that weighs 70 pounds, and their CBR gear, and their gun, their M16, their magazines for the M16, the gas mask that had to be carried on their hip, like a pistol. In the Old West, you'd carry the gas mask on your hip, and all that stuff had to be carried all the time. They'd hook it all up to the vest where all you had to do was grab the vest and put the vest on and then hook it up and you're ready to go. That's how they learned how to, so you don't sit there for 5-10 minutes when they call you out. When they call you out, they want you out. They don't want you dilly-dadding around trying to get your gear together. That's why they train you to get it all on the vest. When they call you out, you put the vest on, you're out the door. But they had to wear all that gear out in the heat doing the construction work, because that's what Seabees did, construction. So, of course, how did you do that without suffering from heat exhaustion, heat stroke, the whole 9 yards? You work 15 minutes, you take a half-hour break. That's exactly what they did. They'd work 15 minutes, sit down in the sun or in the shade for a half hour and rest, and drink water. That's how they handled it. You don't get any work done that way, but in that kind of heat and weather, that's the only way to do it. That's the only way you can do it. That's what they told me. I never went. My back spasm started and I pulled my back out, or whatever you want to call it, my right shoulder blade, that lumbar muscle. I was at the first FX in 2007. It was in August of 2007, so the temperature was 100 degrees outside. Even in California, it was Fort Hunter Liggett, California, which is an army base. But apparently somebody donated all that land to the Army, so the Army uses it for all their training. It's nothing but desert, it's hot, sandy, and there's a few trees, but mostly no. There's rattlesnakes, yes. And then there were Marines out there that were dressed like insurgents, and they were supposed to be the bad guys trying to get into the camp. So when you first get down there, you're just like the Marines. You gotta secure the area. Basically, when we landed, and we were in our civilian clothes, and we brought all of our gear with us. Now, a friend of mine, he said that when he went on FX one time, he learned the hard way about what they do. They try to mess with your psychology, your mentality. They're going to do everything they can to get you uncomfortable with the environment, because that's what their job is. The more uncomfortable you are, the better you're prepared, because when you do go to Iraq, it's going to be really weird. So he said that one time he came in off the bus, because they land at the airport, and then they get on a bunch of buses, and then the buses take them out to Hunter Liggett. It's about 2.5 hours from the airport. So he gets off the bus onto the campsite where they're at, and you notice these big old trash bins that big companies have, and they put all their trash in, big trash bins, and they're filled with water. You couldn't figure out what that was. What happened was they took all their sea bags with all their clothes in them, threw them into trash bins of water. Everything they had, personal items, uniforms, their gear, their boots, everything got wet. Everything. Then they told him to go over to the trash bins and fish them out after about, you know, let them soak for a half hour or whatever. But Wilder remembers, the petty officer told me this story. He said, that really pissed me off. But I guess so. That's what they wanted. But he said he learned from then on, line the inside of the sea bag with a trash bag. Ever since then, he said, line the inside of your sea bag with a trash bag and put all your stuff in that trash bag. Then when they throw the sea bag in the water, your stuff won't get wet. But he said he learned the hard way about that trick. But you learn little tricks here and there about how to do stuff. But it also works that whenever you leave, because when I went to my second fix, there was 5 days that I was there because I suffered from heat stroke. My blood pressure went up to like 180 over 90 or something. And they sent me home basically after 5 days. And I also had my back issue, of course, the day before. They put me on light limited duty, but I haven't showered. And my clothes were caked with all the dirt and stuff. Because, you know, you had to lay down in it, you had to sit in it. I mean, your clothes were caked. It was like a layer cake on your clothes of dirt. It was so dirty and grotty. And I didn't have a clean uniform. Well, no, I think I did have one clean uniform, because what I did was I knew I was going to be there for 2 weeks. So I used one uniform for 1 week, and then I'd use the second uniform the second week. So I was still on my first week, so I think I was still on my first uniform. So the second uniform wasn't used yet. And then they told me that my blood pressure went up, and the next day I was supposed to fly home. That they were going to send me home because of heat exhaustion, which is what happened. I did suffer from heat exhaustion. That was a fact, because I've never suffered from that before. And I trained. I was outside in the yard at home, working outside to get used to being out in the heat. And I did that for, I don't know, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It wasn't enough. I still suffer from heat exhaustion at the fix. And it wasn't 110 degrees outside, it was just 90s. It was in the 90s, maybe 100, 105, but it wasn't as bad as the fix before that. Apparently that one was really, really bad, really hot. But anyway, I drank plenty of water. I mean, it wasn't a water issue. I just suffered from heat exhaustion, even though I had drank 100 ounces of water a day, which is what my camel pack held, and I emptied it every day. Sometimes I'd empty it twice a day. But yeah, I drank plenty of water. That wasn't an issue. So they sent me home, and what I did with my dirty uniform is I put it in the trash bag that I used to line the sea bag with. I took the trash bag out, everything out of it, and I put the dirty clothes in it, all my dirty clothes in it, put it at the bottom of the sea bag, and then I put everything else on top of it. I may have put it on top of the sea bag just to piss because the first fix I went on, the airport decided to select me for some kind of random search, which the airport does that every now and then. But what they do is they pull you aside and they'll literally search you, all your personal items and everything else. What you don't know, what I didn't know at the time, is they did the same thing to my sea bag. I had a padlock on it. They had broke the padlock, got into my sea bag, and started searching my sea bag, because everything I had in there was neatly packed. And when I went home, I noticed the padlock was not on there. When I opened it up, all my stuff was just thrown in randomly. So when they randomly select you, of course they asked me if I wanted to. I was like, well, whatever, I don't care, Don't do it. If you ever go to the airport and they randomly select you for a search, don't do it. Tell them no. That's a pain in the ass to see all your stuff nastily thrown when you neatly pack things up, especially on a business trip or whatever. And you gotta have nice clothes. You don't want to have them randomly search you. Well, I put all the dirty clothes on top, I think. Maybe I put them on belt. I don't know. I was thinking of that whenever I packed it, so whatever I did, I probably did it to piss off the security if they decided to randomly search me again. So I'm like, here, open this trash bag. Oh my God, it smells. That's right, suckers.